Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For trucks, obviously. On the lot.
We became Steelwrist.
Alright guys, welcome to an episode of Earthworks Hub that is a little bit special because we're doing this live from Diesel Dirt and Turf. And with me today, I have Darryn Wilson from Steelwrist. Thanks for coming on the show, Darryn.
Thanks, Ivan.
That's it. No, I haven't done this before, so we've got a little bit of a crowd watching us. It's going to be a very interesting show, yeah.
Absolutely.
That's it. Have you done any podcasts before? Or?
No, I haven't done any podcasts. No, but I've obviously done a few interviews and bits and pieces for magazines and stuff like that. So, yeah. So this is the first for me, mate.
There you go, then.
Very
That's it.
exciting.
You know, a lot of people are like that, yeah. So a lot of people I talk to haven't done them before, so I suppose we just do it as a casual thing and have a chat, pretend we're just talking at a pub somewhere, man.
Absolutely, buddy. Absolutely.
All right, that's it. So let's start with yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so, mate, ironically enough, I started as a fitter welder building buckets and dipper arms and booms and stuff for excavators and loaders in New Zealand, and I've progressed through my career, moved into the electronics industry with Komatsu Australia. I was in management there for about 12 years. I reconnected with some friends in New Zealand that I was working with initially, the Doherty boys, Paul and Jeremy, and I set up their operation over here with Jeremy, assembling Doherty couplers. So that got me back into the excavator and the bucket market, the attachment market, and in the Australian market. So I was the operations manager there for a couple of years, and we were an Incon dealer. And the Incon agreement ended, and we started up with Steelwrist. So I became the support and operations manager for the Steelwrist product in Australia. And there we had support partners. We obviously sold the products and supported it. Then at some point, Paul and Jeremy sold their business to Kinsoffer, and Kinsoffer had a tilt rotator of their own. So we couldn't sell two tilt rotators, so I broke off with the Steelwrist brand and started Steelwrist Australia, along with Stefan Stockhouse, the CEO at Sweden, Steelwrist in Sweden. Started up that business there. In 2022, they acquired the business off me, so we became Steelwrist Australia. And as of last month, we opened up an operation in New Zealand, so now we're Steelwrist Direct in Australia and in New Zealand as well. So that's it in a nutshell.
There you go. No, good. So Steelwrist is big. So apart from Australia and New Zealand, I suppose it's also worldwide, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. We're in Korea, Japan, China, US, all over Europe, France, Italy, Germany, obviously all in the Nordics. So it's a big global company now.
And would you say that like Europe is a bit more ahead of us or in time? Like are they taking this stuff on a lot quicker than us?
It's in Sweden, 100%. So the Nordics, you won't get a machine without a tilt rotator on it. Okay, so it's basically stipulated that's the way it is. The US is definitely catching up, so the market's growing in the US, and obviously the market's growing here. So yeah, they are becoming more and more dominant, and along with the automatic oil couplers that we do as well. I was talking to someone the other day, actually, and they were in Balma, and they couldn't believe the amount of automatic oil couplers that were in Balma and on every machine. So once again, we are a little bit slow on the take-up, but people are starting to understand the advantages and starting to see the positives, so the uptake is definitely growing, which is great.
It's good, and I can see it, and I've had a bit of a play on some of these, and you can see why people are going towards these.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely.
So we've got a couple of tilt rotators here behind us with some of the attachments. So for someone that doesn't know about tilt rotators, what is an actual tilt rotator? What does it actually do?
Okay, so a tilt rotator does exactly that. It tilts and rotates. Okay, now these two examples behind us here, these are SQ, so they're automatic oil couplers. So it's a sandwich, and when we say a sandwich configuration, we mean that the machine has a coupler on the machine, okay, and that can drop off the tilt rotator and pick up the tilt rotator. So unlike, I'm sure a lot of your listeners and viewers are familiar with tilt couplers, and tilt couplers are directly pinned to the machine. Okay, so you can't take the tilt coupler off. So you're limited to the amount of breakout that you've got with that weight of that tilt coupler. Here you can drop the tilt rotator off and you're back to just a beer maker machine with a standard coupler. And it's also automatic oil, so you can pick up a hammer and it connects automatically. You don't have to get out of the cab. So all these things are focused on obviously safety, you know, and obviously proficiency. That's how efficient you can be, how quick you can do the job, and all those sorts of things. So tilt rotators bring the machine to a whole other level, okay? And you just need to talk to any operator, and I'm sure a lot of your viewers have had probably discussions with operators, and they'll tell you time and time again, you know, it just saves on labour rates, it saves on fuel, it's more efficient, it's just more enjoyable.
Yes.
They make the job more enjoyable. So it's all these things that obviously a tilt rotator brings to the job.
Yeah. No, I can see some big advantages, even like the little grippers, so you can pick up stuff.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, what sort of typical work can you do with one of these? So, what's the sort of, what sort of customers do you get?
Well, we have customers doing everything: civil, roads, tunnelling. We put them into any and every application. You know, golf courses, landscaping.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of road work, a lot of tight areas. So when you've got a tight area in between a house and a fence or something, and now with zero swings, obviously makes it better.
Yeah.
But now when you put a tilt rotator on, you've even got more flexibility.
Yeah.
You know, and I was talking to a young boy the other day who's on a machine, and he was saying he was doing a job, and the contractor said, "Mate, you're not going to be able to do that. You know, you can't do that." And he said, "Oh, I think I can."
Yeah.
And he did the job, got rid of a labourer, and the contractor was going, "Well, that's unbelievable. You know, I never thought that would be possible." Yeah. So it's just those little things, and people are starting to understand, hey, you know, there is definitely an advantage here by using a tilt rotator.
Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking about, like, even I used to do a lot of retaining walls, so when you've got to like dig, you can dig with your bucket facing it towards you, and then when you want to fill with scoria at the back, you can tilt, rotate, put it in nicely behind.
Absolutely. Backfilling, all those sorts of things. Yeah.
Instead of taking your bucket off, spinning it around, trying to get it.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, big savings. Yeah.
Absolutely, mate, you know.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And what about, so if we talk about efficiency, because a lot of people might be thinking, wow, it's a big expense. Like, what am I going to actually, what's my return on investment? Like, what do you say to that? Yeah.
That's a good question. And that's a question that comes up all the time, you know, and it is a big investment. But it's like anything, you know, I mean, when we buy something, as consumers, when we buy something, we justify what it is we're spending and why we're buying it, okay?
Yeah.
And an example would be if you were to purchase a new machine, say, for example, this cat here, say it had done 8,000 hours. If the owner went out and bought another cat, he would be paying more for the Caterpillar, okay? But he's not going to get more for an hourly rate for a new machine. So he justifies that by saying it's more comfortable, it's safer, it's better on fuel.
Yep.
It's all these things that are intangible almost, you know, and it's exactly the same for a tilt rotator.
Yeah.
So a tilt rotator does all those things as well. So it saves fuel, it gets rid of labour costs, it's more efficient, it's more productive. So when you say that and you look at your bottom line after 12, 15, 18 months, you'll start to understand that your bottom line has actually increased. Okay, so you mightn't be getting more for your hourly rate, but you're saving more.
Yeah.
And anybody who is in business knows that a good, strong bottom line is a good business model.
Yes.
You know, and I think that's the key. When people start to understand that yeah, it does cost a little bit more, but hey, I'm saving on fuel. I haven't got that guy running around on the ground anymore.
Yeah.
That's a $60,000 a year saving right there.
Well, that's right. Yeah. So you just exactly right. Exactly. And more nowadays. Yeah. Getting expensive. Yeah. That's
exactly.
right.
And you don't have to worry about the unions.
Yeah. Well, that's right. That's right. Yeah. And I love the safety aspect, because I think about when I have to put a hammer on or an auger, you got to get out, put the hoses on. That's a pain, you know. And then you got that risk of spraying and just time. When
Absolutely.
If you've got operators, you know, often they might stop, have a smoke, you know, before they put the pipe on.
Yep.
So then they take their time or talk to someone else, so you lose production, you know.
And then they take the hammer off and they drop it on the hose, so you got to get a new hose.
Then you got to get a new hose, yeah. Well, and that's not cheap as well, yeah. Exactly, yeah. I think, hydraulic hoses, that's the business to be in, yeah, definitely. Definitely. All right. So these, did they actually originate in Europe? Is that where they first started?
So there's three main manufacturers of tilt rotators. Us, Encon and Rototilt, and there's another one called SMP. So they are the three main manufacturers globally, and they're all out of Sweden. So yeah, the idea started and originated in Sweden, and then through the manufacturers and the changes and redevelopment and all those sorts of things, they've progressed to where we are now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, cool. So what about maintenance? So once you get one, I mean, looks like there's a lot of little implements in there. And that, what maintenance is involved?
And this is always a challenge, you know. And whether it's a tilt hitch or a tilt rotator, they all need maintaining. Yeah. And unfortunately, a lot of contractors, because it's at the end of the boom, it gets ignored.
Yeah.
You know, because normally you have a bucket on there.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah,
And
yeah.
time and time, even with tilt hitches, you know, we were going, they need to be serviced. You know, you need to get resealed. If you don't get resealed, you know, they're going to leak and it's going to cause these sorts of problems. Tilt rotators are exactly the same.
Yeah.
But it can vary. I mean, we've got tilt rotators out in the market that have done 8,000 hours and they've never been touched. Never been touched. We've got other tilt rotators that are out in the market. They've done 3,500, 5,000 hours, and we do a rebuild. Okay, so we might replace the bottom bearing, we might replace a shim, might get that radial movement out of it. Okay, and that axial movement out of it.
Yeah.
Then that's all done by putting shims and bearings and that sort of thing. And they do wear. It's like any mechanical thing.
Yeah, yeah.
It wears. It's like an excavator. You
Yeah,
know? So
yeah.
it does need servicing.
It
Yes.
does, yeah. And what about who can do that? Like, is there anything that you have to do yourself? Like, is there like, greasing points or anything?
Mate, it's a worm drive and a gear. So if we use support partners all over Australia and New Zealand,
Yeah.
and they're mechanics, and basically if you can rebuild a final drive, mate, you're going to do this in your sleep, you know.
Yeah.
And most mechanics can rebuild final drives.
Yeah,
so
that's it,
they're
yeah.
worth their salt anyway.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yes, yeah. Oh, cool. What about, so if I wanted to get one, so just say now today I decide, all right, I want to go get one. What's the process? Yeah. So what's the process for someone to buy one of these?
Mate, give us a ring, jump on our website. We've got plenty of ways to be in touch. We've
Yep.
got a website where you can call us now, click on the button. It'll ring us, we'll ring you back. We'll talk to you about what it is you want to do, how you want to achieve it. A majority of the deals that we do are done through OEMs and OEDs. So a lot of people, when they buy their new machine, they'll finance their machine and they'll finance the tilt rotator at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and that's generally the 90% of the deals we do are done that way. But in saying that, we've also installed tilt rotators on machines that have got 1,000 hours or 2,000 hours. We did one just last week actually on a little 55 Hitachi, and the customer had it for 2,500 hours, decided he wanted a tilt rotator, and mate, he's over the moon.
Yeah.
He's ringing us every second day going, I can't believe I've waited so long. It's just incredible. So,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we love hearing that, you know. I mean, that's fantastic feedback.
It's true.
Yeah.
Because that was going to be one of my questions. Yeah, like, is there a limitation? Like, is a machine going to be too old at some stage, or is it just really up to the person?
It's up to the individual. I mean, we can install on anything. Majority of what we do now is proportional control. So most of the machines that we install on are proportional control now, but you can still do it with the old bang bang buttons. We just have to do a different installation style, which is called a feeder valve. Most of what we do is PWM electrical install, so
Yep.
we don't do a lot of hydraulics. The only hoses we do are the hoses actually to the tilt rotator.
Yep.
The rest is all electronic in the cab with a control system. Change the joysticks.
Yeah, so you do
that's
change
it.
the joysticks.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that comes, you have to have that to operate
You
it.
don't have to. There are different setups. So this one here is a 2-hose. So it uses the hydraulic circuit, the main hammer circuit, to drive the tilt rotator.
Yeah.
But we also have 4-hose options where if you've got 2 auxiliaries, like on the Devlon over there, you can do a 4-hose system. One circuit drives the rotate, the other circuit drives the tilt and the quick coupler.
Ah, yeah,
And the extra.
yeah.
And that 4-hose system, you don't need to change the joysticks. You can use the original joysticks,
Yeah.
but you do need proportional control.
Yeah, yeah. All right. And then we spoke a little bit about attachments and that. So attachment-wise, can you use rock breakers on there? Because that's one thing that I always think. Because we have, obviously Melbourne, we're full of rock. So if I had one of these in Melbourne, I'd definitely be hammering that. So how would that affect it? Or what were the options?
In those options, we'd do a sandwich.
Yep.
We'd recommend a sandwich, okay?
Alright.
But, and I've said this with tilt hitches as well, because you get the same question with
Yeah,
tilt
you
hitches.
do.
Can I use a hammer on a tilt hitch? Mate,
Yeah.
Of course you can use a hammer on your tilt hitch.
Yeah.
You can use a hammer on a tilt rotator.
Yeah.
What's going to happen is you're probably going to reduce your serviceability. You're going to bring that down a little bit. You're going to need to service it a bit more frequently.
Yeah.
Because hammers, as we all know, are pretty hard on gear.
Yeah.
So, but a sandwich solves that problem straight away.
It will, yeah. So
Which,
that means...
which you can't do with a tilt hitch.
Well, that's right, yeah. So at least, yeah, well, you just drop the actual rotator off, and then you're back to just a normal coupler, and that's it. And then
Pick up your hammer, away you go.
and then you go, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's good.
Same as an auger.
Yeah.
Same.
And what about breakout force? Does that affect the breakout force? Like, does it reduce it or increase it? Or?
A tilt rotator?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Like any attachment,
Yeah,
it does.
yeah.
And we get this question all the time as well. What is it going to do? What's it going to mean? But like anything, you sacrifice something to get something.
Yeah.
You might sacrifice a bit of breakout, but you're going to get so much more productivity.
Yeah.
You're going to get so much more out of the deal other than just breakout. But once again, if you go to the sandwich, you can get all your breakout back again anyway.
Yeah.
So if you are digging in rock or ripping rock or doing something like that, drop off your tilt rotator and you're back to the standard.
Back to, and then you're not damaging. It's just like a regular excavator again.
Absolutely. I know there's a lot of rock in Melbourne.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Yeah, I used to hate pulling that hammer out, and then the customer's like, "Oh, you're going to charge me?" And I'm like, "Trust me, I don't really want to put it on either." Yeah, but you'll have to. Yeah. That's it. No, good. Yeah. So I wanted to sort of know what limitations there are. What about with GPS and that? So if you've got GPS in your machine, how does this affect that?
It works, integrates.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got a new model out here at the moment, XTR20. So that is full rotation and tilt sensors.
Okay.
So it's already integrated into the machine, into the tilt rotator. So when you put it on, you hit a 0 button, it'll 0. As you turn it around, there's a counter in the cab on the screen, and it will tell you what degree you're at, and that then feeds back to the GPS, so you can actually see your bucket turning, you can see your bucket tilting. You can do an auto grade. You know, if you've got to upload a plan that's got an auto grade on a beam or something, then you can just put that in, pull the lever, and it'll do the tilt and the rotate.
Amazing stuff.
All you got to do is pull the lever.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. And that's
Even I can do it.
That's what we do. We just pull levers all day. Yeah, that's it. So what about if I bought one and got it delivered and everything? What's the process after that? Do you offer some sort of training or something?
So what we do, we will use a support partner to install it, okay?
Yep.
Or we may install it ourselves, depending on where the purchase is happening. Once that is done, we then come along and we do a handover.
Yep.
So we do a commissioning and a handover. And in part of that commissioning and handover is that training process. This is how you hook it up. This is what you do. These are because obviously you have different attachment settings now in your machine, so you've got to make sure you've got the right pressures, the right flows, the right attachment. We do that training. We obviously give the guys some indication about how to do it, what to do, the serviceability, that sort of thing. And then we leave them to it. And then we get a phone call 2 weeks later going, "Mate, this is fantastic. I can't believe I waited so long."
Yeah, that's the same thing. That's how it was with tilt hitches.
Yes,
originally,
yes,
same.
exactly.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, and I was one of those. I was always like, I don't know if I really need one. And then once I got it, I was like, should have done this years ago. Yeah.
And that's a great example. I mean, you go back 10, 15 years, and it was the standard hitch.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 70% of sales into the market were standard hitches.
Yeah.
Maybe 20 to 30 were tilt. Now it's the exact opposite.
Yeah.
70 to 80% of the market now are tilt hitches, and the rest are standard.
Yes.
Well, especially in New South Wales and Queensland.
Yeah,
Melbourne's catching up.
Yeah, it
slowly.
is. Melbourne's catching up. Yeah. I think it's also that. Well, we were talking about hammers before. A lot of people are reluctant. They think straight away, "Oh, you can't have a hammer on there." So
Yeah.
that's what it is. But at least with this, the good thing is, I suppose, if you've got a sandwich, you release it, and then you're back to normal. So it's even better than a tilting hitch. Yeah.
Exactly. You got the best of both worlds.
Yeah, true.
Absolutely.
And when we talk about safety, there's this thing called the front pin lock. Is that right? How does that work? Yeah, what is that?
So the front pin lock, actually, we're just phasing it out. So as you saw before on the XTR20, the new one that we've released here today, we don't have a front pin lock. We have a rear locking sensor. So there's two sorts of controls when it comes to attachments in a cab.
Yep.
You have an engineering control, which is a mechanical control, which is a front pin lock, and you have an administration control. Okay, and an administration control is what we've done here with the sensor lock. So that's all in the cab. Okay, so that's the sort of thing where it comes up to the operator to make sure that, hey, yes, it is locked, no, it's not locked, yes, I'm engaged, no, I'm not engaged. Whereas with a front pin lock, it's obviously a visual thing that you have to make sure that it is locked.
Yes,
okay?
yes.
So that locks on a cam, you can pick it up. What happened was we had obviously a standard in Australia and New Zealand and ISO where tilt rotators, if they detached, you could actually have a swing, okay? So it was saying that you could allow a bucket swing if it was to detach in the back lock. That standard has changed just recently. So now you are not allowed to have a swing, okay? So you can't have, so front pin locks will be fading out because there's no advantage of them.
Yeah.
Because they swing.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have to have the rear pin engaged constantly before connection and disconnection.
Yeah.
And it's the same old thing, you have to follow the standard operating procedure, do the bump test, make sure everything's connected.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it comes down to that person in the cab,
Yeah.
to making sure that, the administrative controls are in place,
Yep.
and that they are operating the attachment safely, like anything.
Like everything, that's it. That's it. All right, and then so you've got this system called the Open S system.
Yes.
So just explain what that is,
Okay, so Open S, as I was mentioning before, the industry is moving towards the automatic oil connection. Okay, so a lot of manufacturers now have this feature. There are several different versions of how those oil connectors connect. Okay, so what we've done and what Steelwrist has done and Rototilt and Rammer and Kinsoffer, we've all got together and we've agreed that we're going to make all our auto oil connections in the same place.
Yes.
Okay.
It's like Apple and Samsung, and they have with their connections, yeah? Same thing?
Exactly the same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So all our oil connections are in the same location. So we all apply to become part of a member of the OpenS Alliance, and then we all agree that we're going to make our attachments and our quick couplers compliant to that standard. So you can buy a Steelwrist tilt rotator SQ,
Yep.
and then you can go and buy a rototilt attachment or a rammer hammer off the shelf, and
Yep.
it will have an SQ head bracket, and you'll be guaranteed that it picks up.
Yes.
So you don't have to buy your attachment head brackets off Steelwrist. You can buy them off any supplier.
Yeah.
So it opens up the market and it gives the consumer the choice.
Yeah, so they don't feel restricted. Like if I just go with Steelwrist and I'm only going to have to buy their stuff, this way you feel a little bit less restricted. You can say, oh, you know what, if I can get a better deal here, or if I know someone there or something, you can,
Mate.
or you're loyal or whatever, you can say, oh, I'll go get one from over there. But they all fit the same, yeah.
As a manufacturer, I mean, I could say, okay, great, you bought my tilt rotator.
Yeah.
You're only going to be able to pick up my attachments.
Yeah.
So my attachments are now going to be $20,000 for a head bracket.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? You're going, oh, well, I've got this tilt rotator, now I can't use it because you're going to charge me $20,000 for a head bracket?
Yeah, yeah.
I think I might go away.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know? So there's no monopoly.
Yeah, so
Okay,
it's more standardised.
everybody's out there, and we're all competing, and to make sure that the consumer gets the best experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's good. That's really good. Yeah,
It's
because
very Swedish.
yeah, very Swedish. That's it. That's it. And what about? Let's talk warranty, I suppose. So after you buy one, what sort of warranty do you get?
Yeah, we offer a 2-year warranty, so we offer a 1-year warranty standard, and then if you go online, register product with the serial number with us, then we give you an extra 12 months. So it's a 2-year warranty.
2 years. Yeah. No, very good. Very good. What else is there? So what about? I mean, it's already like we're already sort of getting futuristic with this stuff, I suppose. What other plans? Can you tell us anything? Is there anything coming out? What are you guys working on? We can't. Well, if you can't disclose it, that's
No,
fine. Yeah.
absolutely, mate. This industry in the last 5 or 6 years has just gone leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
So at the moment now, the next thing that everyone's talking about is MIC 4.0.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard about MIC
No,
4.0.
no, I haven't,
Okay,
no.
so MIC 4.0 and Wackenoosen are the first to actually adopt it. Volvo are now adopting it as well. MIC 4.0 is a control system in the machine. So you can basically buy a machine with MIC 4.0. You can pick up a tilt rotator like this or any other manufacturer's tilt rotator.
Yep.
Pick it up, plug it in, put the hoses in, go into the cab, select what it is, and it's done.
Yeah.
So there's no installation process.
Yeah.
So at the moment, to install a tilt rotator on a machine, you're looking at about 1.5 to 2 days.
Yep.
Okay, to get it all set up, put the control system in the cab, change the joystick. MIC 4.0 is going to change that
Yeah. Yeah.
to
Totally.
another level. And all the manufacturers in Europe are starting to get on board with the MIC 4.0.
Yeah.
So that's the next big change, I think, in the industry, not just for us, but for everybody in the industry.
Yeah.
What else are we doing? We've obviously just released the XTR. We've
Yeah.
got the new roto coupler over here on the Devlon 55.
Yeah. Look out for that video, guys. We're going to do a video on that. Yeah.
Which
yeah.
is just a rotation coupler, which
Yeah.
is something quite unique, and a lot of people go, oh, I don't know, how is that going to work? What's that going to do? And I had a go at it before, and I can't really understand it either, but I'm not an operator.
Yeah.
But-
yeah. We'll have a look at that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Definitely.
lots of people are going, well, yeah, this is great, and I can use it here, I can use it there, I can do laying blocks, perfect. You know?
Yeah.
Instead of a rotating grapple, you've got a rotating quick coupler.
Yeah. Yeah. So then it doesn't matter what attachment you pick up, you can still rotate it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. What about? Is there anything that you'd like to add? If I missed anything that you want to talk about?
No, mate, this is great. I mean, obviously here at DDT, we've had a bit of rain this morning, and
Oh yes.
the sun's just come out, which is good.
Yep.
We're here till Sunday, so if anybody sees this and they're coming down to Sydney Raceway, then come by and see us. We're doing demonstrations here every hour and a half. We're doing a bit of digging a tunnel, building a bridge, laying some block work around, so it's quite good. We have a bit of a commentary there as well.
Yeah. Also, I did forget to ask that. Yeah. So, what size machines can you use this on? What's the limits?
Here we go from 2.5 tonne
Yep.
all the way up to 35.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So 35 can still have that. That's
With
amazing.
tilt rotators, yeah. And then our SQ couplers, we go all the way up to 90.
All right. No, thank you. Thanks for coming on. It's
Thanks, buddy.
good to have you on the show, guys. Look out for Steelwrist. Thanks again.
Fantastic,
See you, Darryn.
mate. Awesome.
Take care,
Thanks,
mate.
buddy.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah.
for trucks, obviously. On the lot.
We became Steelwrist.